Good morning, friends from around the state. It is so nice to be back with you, even virtually. My name's Angie Hacker. You know me. We've been at this 46 times. I'm the statewide best practices coordinator for the California Climate and Energy Collaborative. This is the local energy resources network. And I'm joined today by both Kelsey and Rochelle, who will say hello in the chat. They can help you if you need help with anything. We've got you today through 12:15 if you're available for that extra bonus breakout. Encourage everybody here in the chat to introduce yourself. You can just let us know who you are, where you're from. I have snow behind me today. Let us know, do you see snow after that giant storm we just had? Holy cow, it's nice to get a big storm in the beginning of the season. Okay, let's go to our next slide and we'll talk a little bit about what we will do with our time today, our November Learn. So as always, these are 1-hour meetings designed to be a regular space where y'all can come and get briefed because you're busy on all the things that can help you advance your energy and climate goals. We'll do our normal opportunity roundtable. We do have a good meaty spotlight today with our friend Larry from CARB, who's going to talk about his Drive Forward initiative he'd like y'all to know about. And then today's a little different. Every time we do this, I think I say this is a little different. Today we are hoping that you can help us help you, meaning we're going to talk a little bit about our SLECC services. And we have a feedback opportunity. So we're going to talk a little bit about the kinds of things we're planning for 2026 and want your feedback on what's really been helpful and what we can do better, and some feedback around like the kinds of barriers you really would like us to focus on. So that's the plan for today. If you're just joining, please introduce yourself over chat and we'll all keep getting to know each other better and better. Okay, so this is our opportunity roundtable, and as always, we like to create this hyperlinked cheat sheet for you that's trying to give you a quick window into all the available opportunities that can help you advance your energy and climate goals. We will go through the highlighted opportunities here because we haven't talked about them before, so these are things that are new to our list. And I think I will just go ahead and start from the top here. So the first one we have is an opportunity that I just recently came across. You may have already seen it, but it's the CEC's depot charging and hydrogen refueling infrastructure for medium and heavy duty on-road zero emission vehicles. That one's due December 12th. I always feel like these grants that are all happening around holiday season are mean, but I'm glad to see them still coming, so we'll take it. The total funding here is $20 million for this program. It is from the CEC. There are, let's see, $2 million available as a maximum award per application. And applicants must request, you must request at least $2 million, but a maximum is up to $4 million. So this one has different groupings of different types of charging infrastructure. Let's see, the total funding here, it looks like is pretty significant, $20 million. So that one would be due December 12th. If you are in the business of working on hydrogen refueling infrastructure, this might be one for you. Otherwise, let's go down to the next one. That one is our California Energy Commission. Again, this one is something we've been tracking for years, and we were just talking about it in a meeting we had with some CEC folk, and I was happy to see it. So this is the California Training for Residential Energy Contractors, TREC. We've been hearing about it for a while because it actually came out as part of the IRA, so as a DOE-funded thing. I can tell you a little bit more about it. The state of California was granted about $10 million for this program, and it really is intended to, I think, correspond to like the Homes and HERA funding that also came from the DOE to assist with building up the contractor base to support residential energy improvements. And so a lot of you guys on the call, I think, are in the business of doing this work. So this is an application that will actually be due December 22nd. Now that's a really mean deadline. But there is a couple of things if you're interested and if you're in the business of doing energy contractor training, there's a pre-application workshop tomorrow on November 19th. And if you have questions, those are due on November 20th. So those two things are coming quick, but you still do have an opportunity to apply. I'm getting my head around this thing still a little bit, but I'll tell you what I know. So it looks like the Trek Award will come in two tranches. The awards amount are really dependent upon the group types. So there's a group 1 on pre-apprenticeship and apprenticeship. That award, it looks like, could go up to 5 million. Group 2, workforce enablement, which could go up to 3 million. Group 3, new and expanding contractor training, that could go up to, looks like, about 1.3 million. And the eligibility for this is open to all institutions of higher education, for-profit entities, nonprofit entities, state and local government entities, and also tribal organizations. And the point of it is to fund statewide training projects that support building energy efficiency. So this is like right in a lot of your wheelhouses. Programs must offer training in the installation and maintenance of residential energy efficiency equipment, such as heat pumps, HVAC, heat pump water heaters, and funded projects. Must develop workforce, reduce the cost of training, and support programs offering testing and certification for contractors. So there's a lot more information in the solicitation. You'll see all these links start popping up in the chat as well. And don't forget, as always, you get all this information afterwards. You'll get the recording and all the resources that we walk through. So no need to stress. Okay, so that's what we know about that one. This was an interesting one. So, we're looking under a broader meadow of rocks these days. And so here's another one that's from the U.S. Economic Development Administration. And it's a fiscal year disaster supplemental grant program. That one has a little bit of a longer lead time, so March 3rd in 2026, which is even crazy that we're so close to 2026. This one is awards to support economic recovery activities in areas that receive major disaster declarations because of hurricanes, wildfires, severe storms, floods, tornadoes, and other disasters occurring in the calendar years 23 or 24. So, it's really maybe this is more climate resilience side of things, but if you work with those folks, you are those folks, or you're working with your disaster folk in your community, this might be something for them. So this one is available to organizations of an economic development district, tribes, state and local governments, institutes of higher education, nonprofits working with local governments, and public-private partnerships for public infrastructure. Okay, so those are the main opportunities. I did also want to highlight something that I learned about a couple weeks ago that I've kind of known about, but I got a presentation on it. And Cal OES is not somebody we normally talk too much about, but again, right, more like emergency disaster side of things, but you all have a hand in that, I know it. I wanted you to be aware that they have a resilience branch, and that branch offers technical assistance, and it's free, and it's fascinating in what they do. I mean, they actually can help with identifying and scoping and writing grants for funding that are emergency and resiliency related. So I just wanted you to be aware they've got some manpower on the inside to help you with that. And if that's something you're looking for some support on, you can check out the link that will drop its way into the chat as well. I'm trying to get them to come in and tell us a little bit more about all the things that they do to support locals. Okay, so those are the things I wanted to run through as the opportunity roundtable. If you know of other things, as always, we're a team. Please help throw some additional opportunities in the chat so we all can keep ourselves more aware. So that could be funding, other assistance, or input opportunities. The other big input opportunity I'll just kind of flag here, we talked about it last time, but SGC's got their Transformative Climate Communities and Community Resilience Center program guidelines out and is looking for feedback through December. There's a workshop coming in December too, that's statewide. Oh, good, Stella, I will do that. So if you are somebody who thinks you might be eligible or interested in those programs, it's just a good idea to make sure your input is heard so those programs work for you. Okay. that's that. So yeah, please do add other information here in the chat, and thanks for helping each other out here. Okay, so the one thing we wanted to do here was an opportunity spotlight. So let's go to the next slide so I can introduce Larry he's a staff air pollution specialist. He is with CARB. He's quickly becoming a VIP here with SEEK. He always brings us good information. So he has asked to have a little bit of time to tell you about the Drive Forward initiative. If you have questions for him while he's presenting, he's going to present for a few minutes. Drop those in the chat and we will get to them when he's done. Okay? All right. Take it away, Larry. Thanks for being here.
All right, thank you, Angie. Good morning, everybody. Very pleased to be here this morning with you and share an initiative that CARB has rolled out recently. I'm also would be remiss if I did not highlight my local government background and the synergy I have certainly with your work and the communities that you deal with on a regular basis. But that will dive in. I'll provide a little bit of background on the Drive Forward initiative and the things that led to it, and then we'll certainly entertain questions and comments as I wrap up. Despite federal actions targeting 3 of our Clean Air Act waivers, California is not backing down from its goals to protect public health. In addition to pursuing legal actions challenging federal resolutions that disapprove 3 waiver actions, we are pursuing every available avenue to advance clean technologies and advance the emission reductions California needs to protect public health and welfare of its residents. On June 12th, the governor signed Executive Order N2725, reaffirming California's commitment to deploy zero-emission vehicle technologies to improve air quality, especially in communities that are severely impacted. It also directs CARB to develop new regulations consistent with state and federal law. Next slide. Oh, great. Thank you. In response to the governor's executive order, CARB launched ZEV Forward, a collaborative effort between the public and state government to emphasize that a strong zero-emission vehicle market is essential to meeting California's clean air goals. Just as importantly, it underscored that every Californian has a voice in shaping this path forward. To support this vision, CARB organized ZEV Forward dialogue sessions across the state, specifically in Fresno, Sacramento, and in Long Beach. CARB held in-person sessions focused on topics ranging from agriculture, heavy-duty trucking, to light-duty vehicles. Key themes that emerged included maintaining momentum in ZEV deployment, aligning program design with air quality and climate goals, exploring non-financial incentives, and ensuring that all Californians share in the benefits of this transition. So what did the community say during the ZEV Forward sessions? There were 3 areas that I want to draw upon. The first is affordability, which was first and foremost. Session participants shared ideas to reduce the initial upfront cost of zero-emission vehicles. Infrastructure was the second area of discussion. Participants stressed the need to expand infrastructure access and charging reliability in communities. The trucking industry leaders called for reliable charging along routes and key freight corridors. And community groups expressed need for faster permitting process to get chargers operational as soon as possible. Next slide, please. Fast forward. Building on the foundation established through our ZEV Forward and in response to the directives of the executive order, CARB is launching the Drive Forward initiative. Drive Forward continues the state's commitment to meeting both state and national air quality standards, fulfilling California's climate and clean air goals, and protecting public health through strong vehicle standards. Drive Forward will carry this work forward by supporting the development of light-duty and heavy-duty vehicle regulations, incentive programs, and outreach and engagement efforts, along with other tools and resources that are critical as we work together for a cleaner air environment. Next slide, please. Great, thank you. Here is our timeline to develop new standards for light, medium, and heavy-duty vehicles through 2026. We had our Drive Forward kickoff on October 21st, a few weeks ago. Last week, we held a workshop on our incentives, and I'll go into a little bit more in the Q&A and the rest of the presentation. Next week, on December 3rd, we will be having our heavy-duty team present their concepts and ideas for vehicle standards and strategies. The Drive Forward initiative will continue into 2026 with additional workshops planned for the second quarter that cover both light and heavy duty. Next slide, please. So on October 21st, we conducted the light duty Drive Forward program. And then as these standards are developed, the light duty team is guided by three key principles. First, the program needs to be flexible while delivering cost-effective emission reductions. Second, we want to encourage early action that helps us meet our goals sooner. And third, we must ensure that our strategies translate into real-world emission reductions. The recording for this workshop and the presentation is available on a CARB website. Next slide. The incentives workshop was held last week and covered the incentives for both light duty and for heavy duty. The goal of the workshop was to gather input on funding needs, program design, and strategies to identify new and existing funding sources. The incentives team provided background and updates on current incentive programs and an overview of the upcoming incentives workshop and schedule. The team discussed successes, challenges, lessons learned from the implementation of our programs, and potential new approaches, along with their pros and cons. The emphasis of the discussion was on gathering feedback on market needs in terms of funding and enhancing and strengthening collaboration between CARB and stakeholders. Next slide. So the Heavy Duty Vehicle Standards and Strategies workshop will be held December 3rd. The goal of this workshop will be to begin collaborating to develop regulatory strategies for achieving statewide emission reduction targets. The heavy duty team will provide background on the need for emissions reductions and discuss manufacturer standards, fleet regulations, and other strategies. The workshop will also be hybrid, so if you're interested in coming in person or online, they're available to you. The in-person will be held at our Cal EPA headquarters here in Sacramento. Next slide. In addition to incentives and regulations, CARB is also exploring other ways to encourage early action and recognition programs for fleets that adopt zero-emission technologies. There are 3 monetary voluntary programs currently under development that will encourage stakeholders to partner with CARB. Executive Order N27-25 directed CARB to identify and maintain a list of manufacturers that are advancing clean transportation. CARB is currently developing a list of manufacturers known as Drive Forward Leaders, which will be tied to prioritization of future incentive funding and state procurement. Details regarding the criteria and process used to develop the list will be made public in the ensuing months. Cal Fleet Connect will incentivize on-road fleets to purchase and use the cleanest technology available. For off-road fleets, the California Clean Construction Program, currently under development, is also a voluntary, non-monetary incentive program to encourage fleets to go beyond regulatory fleet rule compliance. Next slide. Moving to outreach and community engagement, CARB is committed to ensuring that all Californians have access to clean transportation and air. A key focus of Drive Forward will be on supporting rural and tribal communities that have historically been underinvested and continue to face challenges. This means meeting people on their terms, in their spaces, in their communities, and focusing on the issues of importance to them. Through this approach, CARB aims to listen, build trust, and form lasting partnerships that will make sure community priorities are reflected in our work. Last year, CARB launched the Clean Transportation Regional Outreach Coordinators, or CT ROCs. This is a staff of 6 that are assigned by region to work directly with communities and interested parties on our programs in the clean transportation space. This is dialogue, this is discussion, this is conversation. So it's not just to highlight and illuminate the activities CARB has going, but to listen to what communities are experiencing, going through, and how they can integrate their transportation solutions with the built environment and decarbonization strategies, policies, and investments as well. So I will share a little bit more in terms of the contact, and we can talk a little bit about that specific apparatus for engagement. Next slide. And that's it. I'm open for questions and comments on anything presented here and look forward to our chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Somebody in the chat says they don't see slides, but I do. Is anybody else having that trouble? If you are, I'm sorry. I think other folks are, oh, okay, they see slides too. I wonder if it's hidden in a window for you, but you will definitely get access to all these slides afterwards as well. So lots of good links in here, Larry. That was great. Does anybody have questions for Larry? You can raise your hand if you'd like. I do also want to mention, Larry, we should talk more because we've got these regional convenings that we have been supporting that are hosted by, right, LCI and Strategic Growth Council. There's some coming up in various parts of the state early next year. And it sounds like if you've got people all in different regions, they should definitely participate in this because I think it'd be a good avenue to connect.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't see any hands raised, which might mean that you did an amazing job of explaining. And I just want to say thanks to CARB because they're a good partner and really working hard here to get some good support here for folks that are trying to meet these regulations. And it's nice to be in California. So thanks, Larry. Oh,
did see
sorry, there
one
is one
question.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, let's go. Is this new incentive replacing previous programs like the Advanced Clean Fleets program?
The Drive Forward initiative is not a replacement for the Advanced Clean Fleets program. The state and local government requirements are still intact and moving forward and implementation. So these are separate initiatives.
So Larry, if folks want to take advantage as the first step, really to they could just contact you and you can help navigate them to the right information and services.
The right services, the right information, the right people as well that are dedicated to working in your backyards to listen and to advance our Drive Forward initiative.
Okay. All right. Throw Larry some emojis if you know how to do that in Zoom. Say thanks for coming. Thanks, Larry. All right, we're going to move ourselves into our next part of our conversation. I just love the floating claps. It just, I work from home. That makes me feel good. Okay, so here's our segment. And I don't think we've ever done this before in the 46 learns that we have held. It's intended to be interactive. So if you're a multitasker right now, I just want to ask because we're going to be asking for your input. SLECC, as you know, has been around for 16 years, continuously trying to improve ourselves over time and expanding our suite of services and attempting to do it better and better. So today our topic is really about how SLECC can help you, like help us help you by giving us some feedback on our services. And so if you use that QR code, it's going to take you to a survey. And we're sort of doing this like iterative process of telling you a little bit about those services just to like remind you. And then we're going to ask for your input on those services, all with the expectation that our goal as SLECC being to help you advance your energy and climate goals in the places that you are living and working. And we want to do as good of a job as we can. So if you're in the survey, you will see the first window. The first window is some general questions about just who you are, and you can start taking it actually right now. who you are and what kind of organization you're with. And then we go directly into sort of a quick ask for you to tell us about how you are using our services. And so the question is, there's a list of services. It's also here on your screen. We want you to share your rating of the value of these services. If you participated in them, or if you haven't, you can just select NA. So the ones that I have here on the screen that are highlighted are the ones that we're going to talk a little bit more about. So we have further windows in the survey to ask for a little bit more input on them. But most of you know that we do. So I'm just going to be talking while you all are hopefully in this survey and sharing your ratings here. We do our annual SLECC Forum. We've done it for 16 years. We are going to tell you a little bit more in our next slide about what our plan is for the 17th annual SLECC Forum. But yeah, last year we got almost 600 people attending. It was our biggest year yet. So it continues to grow, and it has been a great space for us to be able to get together as a network of locals working in energy and climate and share best practices and network and learn together. So that's one of our main hallmark services. If you know us, you probably know about that. Obviously, you know about LERN because you're here, and we've been doing it now for a few years. It's changed a little over time, but it's sort of stayed true to its purpose, which is to help you access resources and opportunities that are timely and can help you move these projects forward with this real clear-minded knowledge that to make this work happen on the ground, sometimes you need the funding and assistance, and then you also want to be able to help provide input on how those programs and services come your way. So that's what LERN has been mainly doing, and we also touch on policy at times because policy drives those investments that end up being available for you to take advantage of and can help you. Our SLECC program, that one's been around just since 2023. So state and local energy and climate coordination. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of our plans there. But that has been this big effort in trying to engage with the state agencies more because we believe truly that we are natural partners at both the local and state level, that it's difficult sometimes to engage productively or at least overwhelming, and there's a lot of engagement fatigue. So we were attempting to create a vehicle to communicate regularly in a responsive way and in an ongoing way. SLECC, as opposed to LERN, is less about like single programs and more about these more systemic issues that are keeping us from advancing the work on the ground more quickly. So we talk a lot about barriers and solutions. So I'm just giving you a little primer as you all are filling out the survey. The Regional Energy and Climate Hub, we'll talk a little bit more about that too. So REACH is a relatively new species that we've been lifting off the ground in the last year, starting with our REACH IE event in the inland deserts and inland empire. It's connected to some of those regional convenings that we've been doing, and it's an attempt to create some regional sort of infrastructure here that is supportive of your work trying to leverage all the resources available and have a better understanding of your needs. So we'll talk more about our vision for that. It's something we really want to make more progress on in 2026 and have some ideas. The weekly newsletter, hopefully you get it every week in your inbox, provides a lot of information about funding opportunities, sort of relevant articles, job opportunities, all of these things. If you're in the survey, not only do we want you to tell us, rate them for us, down below you will see an opportunity too to let us know if you want to be added to the contact list for any of these things. And also we're asking you for our impact. So our impact meaning like all of these things that we're talking about, we would love for you to tell us how they have helped you and have you taken any concrete actions based on the forum or other services and providing any examples. And some of you have already done this. And I have to tell you, it is making my day to hear that what we're doing is actually helpful and it helps us to tell our story a little bit better and continue the support that we get. So it's really helpful to hear it. And then the last question here, so the reason I brought this up is like, as you're thinking about our services and rating them, and as we talk about them, we also want you to tell us where we have opportunities to improve or expand upon any of them. That just it's all about you, helping you advance your energy, climate, and land use goals. It may be that there's something we're not doing at all, and you feel like we should think about trying to do it. Okay, so just we'll give you another minute or so on this window before we move to the next. But just running down, we also have our Currents Quarterly Newsletter. That's a publication that we've been running for many years, and that's an opportunity for folks to develop original content that's in the energy space, primarily energy and climate. So that most of you probably receive, and if you're not, you can let us know that you'd like to be subscribed. Our website has a resource library that's searchable and filterable, which I think Kelsey did a fantastic job. And it's a place to go if you're looking for an answer to a question. We have things like, looking for best practices is a big one that I think people use it for. But so it's sort of a reminder that it exists, and you might be interested um, in bopping around in there and seeing what could be valuable to you. If you're in the survey, you'll notice that all of these things are linked. So if you want to kind of remind yourself what these things are, what they look like, you can link out to them. Kelsey and Rochelle also work on a legislative tracker and annual legislative report. I think in general, we've been doing a little bit better of a job in the last couple of years of tracking relevant legislation, making it more accessible to you. We've had reports here like last month with our friend Jeff Phillips, who was able to share some key legislative updates after the budget season. So we're trying to do a better job of keeping you apprised of relevant legislative movements. This one here, technical assistance, that has really been sort of a light touch technical assistance, which is really an invitation to reach out anytime. If you have a question related to this industry and you're looking for us to help you find an answer, it may be, hey, have you seen a template for this kind of an ordinance, or hey, I could use an example staff report for this kind of a program, or how does somebody pull a program like this together, or who in what agency is doing this, and I would really like to ask them a question. That's we usually are a gopher to find the right people that can help you. The other thing we have is a technical assistance directory that we're looking to improve upon this year. Folks that are somehow already subsidized to provide some support on certain areas that we know you all work on. So those are the opportunities under technical assistance. We also run a LinkedIn peer-to-peer networking group. It's mostly a lot of me sharing stuff, and you all are welcome to share stuff there too, but it does help us keep connected in between the big in-person forum and even in between these monthly learns and other meetings. A lot of times we'll share opportunities there. This last one here is comment letters and input opportunities. So we have a whole web page dedicated to this. We'd like to put some more time into it. We have submitted comments to various input opportunities that state agencies provide. It's these administrative opportunities. Most recently, we were active in the SB 100 Joint Agency Report from CEC, but we've commented across multiple agencies. Interested in knowing how valuable that is to you. Okay, so I feel like that was enough talking for you to have maybe had some time to work in this survey, at least this first window. And so we hope that you've had a second to rank or rate all of these services. And if you've had a chance also to let us know how can we do better? What other topics or what other things do you need us to do? And what impact have we had? I think before we hop off here, I'll just say, some of you are giving me really good feedback here. Like, we tried to hold a regional event to build on the work you all do and move to localized action. Well, much harder than it looks. You all are amazing. That's sweet. So a lot of you are saying I use info to support local government clients, met people and learned how local government works. Contacts have led to energy efficiency innovations. A lot of you are saying it's helping me understand the issues around energy resiliency and other energy topics. Anyways, thank you for that. So those are the kinds of things we're looking for. As specific as possible, that would be great. And we like to highlight those up. Okay. I am now going to take a breath, hand it off to Kelsey because she's the ringleader and ringmaster of the annual forum to tell you a little bit about that.
Hey, everybody. As I hope you saw yesterday through our blast, or you just learned now as we sent you this survey link, We have announced that the next year's SLECC Forum is happening in LA on June 24th and 25th. So we're really excited. We're back down in Southern California and we are right next to Universal Studios. So we'll see y'all, at the Minions World or whatever we're going to. So it should be a good time. So as we, prep for this event, what we always ask is a couple questions about what you're most seeing and what kind of themes you want us to promote at this year's event. So there's two questions on the forum. One is, what are you most interested in hearing about this year? And then anything specific that you'd like to see as a forum theme. So we use this to kind of help with our advisory committee and shape what that'll look like. And that helps us get into kind of our call for session proposals and asking everybody to kind of speak to those issues that we see mostly from y'all. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. If not, just, brainstorm.
And if you have any contacts that are major celebrities in Hollywood, we'll take them. Maybe we'll get Leo. That's what I keep saying. We'll get Leo for a keynote. We're excited. We're excited to be in. It's kind of an exciting area to be. Okay, well, we'll give you guys another minute or so to brainstorm a little bit about how you think our forum could be most supportive to you. So topics or issue areas that are you most interested in hearing about. And the theme. We always pick a theme. So, and some of you being very sweet here in the survey, telling us about all the good things that have come from our forum in the past and how much you appreciate it. So thank you. It helps us. It always helps to hear what we're doing is useful. Okay. And we may want to, Kelsey, you might want to drop the link to the survey in the chat just so anybody, if you haven't already, just so folks can get back to it without the QR code up.
Yeah, it was dropped in, but there's been lots of chatter since, so I will re-drop it in. Oh, thanks, Rochelle.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't we go to the next slide and I can start talking a little bit about the next window of the survey. What do you think, Kels? Or did people need more time? What do you think?
Yeah, I think you should move on.
Good. All right. Well, the next question, the next window here for our program and trying to get your input is specific to the SLEEK program. So State and Local Energy and Climate Coordination. I talked a little bit about it, but it has been this sort of labor of love over the last 2.5 years or so, which was intended to serve as a statewide communication and ideation hub to help state and local leaders improve coordinated efforts to more rapidly unlock the unique potential of California's regions and communities to address energy and climate goals, which is just a way to say, we think if we work more closely together in a more coordinated way, that we could accelerate our collective progress. We know that locals are incredibly important to completing the place-based work that must be done in order to reach the state's energy and climate goals. And we know that the state is often looking for our input about what are the barriers in our way to getting that work done? How can they help us move forward faster? Sometimes we work in parallel. Well, they're also doing things that support place-based progress, but oftentimes they're also working in coordination with us. So they're offering data, or they're offering funding, or they're offering technical assistance, or maybe they can help us manage administrative hurdles or policy gaps. And so that's the kinds of things we've been talking about. And now, after this long and having these conversations, we have some real data behind us that we are trying to refine with you and over time. And so we think of our main areas of service here under SLEEK to be engage and ideate, which are really these meetings. So we've had quarterly statewide meetings. We've had 10 or maybe 11 of them. I think 11 by now. We've had regional convenings. There have been 5 so far. There's several more planned for next year. overall, we have hundreds of people participating in these conversations that are very focused on identifying where you're stuck and trying to come up with these reasonable, actionable solutions, either at the local level or, hey, state, here's a thing that we think you could do to help. And the state has an opportunity to say, hey, maybe I have some authority investment already, or a program, or a policy, or a project, or a plan that is that can be supportive of moving us in the right direction. So it helps us try to influence where we can some of the administrative pathways that are available to us that could actually provide some support, like the thing that's, Larry just talked about. His program, they're going to be they looked for input from you to make sure that when they deploy it, it actually works. It's supportive for you on the ground. It actually meets your needs. Um, so that's been SLECC. And what we're asking for you here to do is sort of relates to this next bullet, which is one of our services. Like we had decided in the last year, these conversations are great, and it's really important that we sustain them and that we ensure that we are responsive to the input that we get by continuously plugging away at the things that you're telling us are problematic and obstacles, because we're not going to get it done in one meeting. So ideally, like we go off and we come back and we've made a little progress and we keep at it. We decided that we needed to do a better job of amplifying what we know. So those barriers, the priorities, and the solutions so do we document it? And really my real sincere hope here is that we honor the time that you give us in these meetings and do it justice, meaning we've captured the nuance of what you are saying in a way that resonates with you, and that when you see this stuff that we amplify, when we document it, that you say, yeah, that is true, and that does highlight something that we would like for the state's attention to be on in terms of addressing a problem if they can. And so we have developed a set of dashboards, and we will be developing reports, which is basically a whole ecosystem around capturing your barriers, your biggest barriers, and some of the solutions that have come out of these meetings. You have an opportunity in this piece to actually go look at the web pages that Kelsey's really been working hard to develop. They are in beta version. They are something that we are still considering the formatting of and even the content of. So that's what we're asking for you in this piece of the survey, is to look at the barriers that we have collected. And we've been working to try to refine these barrier statements and the categories that they fall in. And so you'll see in the survey window, there are different priority areas. So that covers climate action, housing and climate nexus, community resilience, clean energy and building decarbonization, clean and active transportation, meaningful engagement and community-driven decisions, and funding access and capacity building. So what we're asking for you in this window is to look at the barrier statements that we have right now, which we know probably need some refinement and probably missing some, but tell us how to rank those. And so you can do a bit of dragging here to rank them in the order of prioritization that you would consider them. That helps us as we continue to meet in the next meetings that we do, be more intentional about really keeping our focus on the things that you all feel like are most important barriers. And so we can really handpick a set of things to try to really plug away at. And then it helps us to identify the right state partners that might have an ability, something active in their wheelhouse that they could use to push us in a closer direction. We had a meeting just now with the California Energy Commission where we had a really robust conversation about building performance standards and benchmarking, and there were some really good ideas shared there about, like, hey, state, here's some ways that you could help us. We need better building stock characterization data. Could you help? And like, all right, it's just we happen to have the right person on the call, and those are the kinds of things we're looking for. Good ideas and communication with the right folks at the agency to actually make some headway here. So I'm kind of taking up some airtime here, but I'm hoping you're in here in the barriers, looking at them, ranking them. And you also are free to chime in here as you're looking. You can raise your hand. Let me know if any of these we're going to be continuing to like refine these. So if any of these don't read correctly to you, like that doesn't really characterize the barrier. You can let us know that. Like we are very open to better explaining this. If you go into the dashboard, you'll also see that there's a sort of ecosystem behind each of these barriers. You can dive in and learn more about the challenges that we have heard across these regional and statewide convenings we've been conducting. Hearing more and more about like what this challenge really looks like. So a little bit more detailed nuance. And you'll also see some solutions that have been raised. Okay, Kelsey, what do you think? Is anybody feeling like that was enough time? Hopefully. Okay. Thank you for sticking along with us and doing this kind of like live survey experiment we are doing. Really happy for anybody to raise their hand and kind of like share any feedback as we go out loud as well, or questions that you might have. Oh, Daniel, hi.
I couldn't figure out how to raise hand on Zoom, but my question is there a library of documents anywhere that the LERN does? You know, like for example, all the climate action plans that have been done by all the local jurisdictions. Are those available online in a collected, curated place?
We have our resources library, which might have some of that, but you know what I would point you to? This is like probably more like that technical assistance role. But it's been CARB that has done a pretty good job of collecting those examples. And so our friends at the Sustainable Communities and Transportation Division have like a CAP map and it links to a whole bunch of templates of yeah, a whole bunch of templates that I think would be what you're asking for. And also Dr. Boswell over at Cal Poly has also done a lot of research and compilation, like aggregation of all the climate action plans in California. So they work together. So I feel like they're doing it so well that probably we don't have to redo it. And I can point you there.
Good, thank you.
And then there's a response here. CARB CAP repository is a bit out. Yeah, it is a little bit outdated, but it's what we've relied on. Yep, that's what I was thinking about too. Okay. Great. Well, this is the last window, I believe, of the survey, and it's on REACH. So this one's like slightly more complicated to explain, but if you're in the survey, all we're really asking you for here in the survey is to let us know your contact information if you want to join the REACH listserv in your region. So what is REACH? REACH's long-term mission is to leverage the collective power of state, federal, and regional capacity and resources to advance place-based energy, climate, and land use priorities through lasting regional hubs. This is not a pie-in-the-sky idea necessarily. This is something that I've seen happen in a lot of different states. What we have been doing is looking at it from the California Climate Assessment Region perspective and thinking about it in terms of 9 different potential hubs. And every time when we go out and do these regional convenings, we've done them on our own or in conjunction with agencies like LCI and SGC, we consider that sort of the launch of a hub. These big convenings, and we usually have about 150 people that come out, and these people come from all of like the community-based practitioners. So the folks that are on the ground in places that are doing the work. So not necessarily community members, but folks like you, our network. So they might be from local government or energy suppliers. They might be tribal folks, academia, regional entities, collaboratives, even private assistance providers. Part of what we do at these events is to capture information about your barriers and needs, some of the solutions that you might be looking for, but we wanted to create an accumulation of understanding about the needs that are unique to that region. So when we do these things, we follow them up with a pretty robust landscape analysis. So if you click on the REACH link, it'll take you to our statewide page, which explains a little bit more about our goals. And you can actually access for San Diego, LA, and Inland Empire the regional landscape analyses that we have built, which does this amplification work. So like we understand now what the kind of the key characteristics and needs of that region are. It's dynamic. like all the stuff related to SLEEK and REACH is, meaning like we're going to continue plugging away at it and get it right. One of the other things that we do in these meetings is to understand who's who. So what organizations are really at work here and what are they doing and what do they need? And then we put together a regional assistance guide of the folks that are already providing assistance. So part of the goal is to, in an immediate way and a long-term way, rise up visibility around who the assistance providers are in regions, so that you all could better leverage what already exists among yourself. And we know this year that's more important than ever because we're seeing less resources come from above, right? And so as we have that information, now it gives us some power here to do more with that information. And so one of the things we want to focus on in the next year is an assistance marketplace, meaning now that we know who's who and who's providing what, we can do a more robust approach to sort of like understanding the bench of subject matter experts around the state. Who is in, Central Valley versus Southern versus, San Diego versus the Bay Area? Who's doing what kinds of services? So if you're in the market and you're like, I need a technical assistance provider for EV charging scoping work. Maybe there's somebody who's already subsidized to do that, or at least there's a subject matter expert to contact. And so we feel like that's something that we can offer that's a useful service. So there's more visibility around who to go to for certain needs. And useful for those of you that are looking to engage more participation in your services, because I think some of you offer services, some of you have services, or you offer it or you need them. The long-term goal here of REACH is to actually flow more resources into those service providers, because we believe so strongly, because we hear from you all the time, that region-based technical assistance and capacity is what you all really would like to take advantage of. And so one of the things we've been tracking is like, where are there funding opportunities that are flowing into technical assistance? Almost none of them reach down to regional-based providers or regional-based providers have any access to the technical assistance dollars that often come at like a statewide solicitation level. So we are thinking about this as an apparatus that not only helps us to regularly engage and connect state with regions and regions with itself, which you all do anyways, but to actually help folks that are on the ground doing this work do more of it. And so we would like to see REACH in the long run help sustain some of the regional-based capacity that already exists, so that folks on the ground, it's not to replace anything, it's to overlay on top and say, hey, you do this, do more of it, please, because we know a lot of you are in the boat where dollars are starting to dry up. So that's what we're going to be hunting for in terms of this pilot, is how do we begin flowing funds through this model, if we can, to try to sustain some of the capacity work that's done in regions where we know it matters, right? So if you're going to pay for capacity building, we feel like you should do it where it counts, where it's going to last, where people aren't coming and going, especially with technical assistance. We hear from you all the time that we don't want to TA our TA providers. So that would be things like, grant writing, scope development, project implementation support. So that's what we're thinking about. Just wanted to give you kind of the longer term vision. And ideally what we'd like to see is actually like making it easier for you all to scope projects for funding. So it all comes back around to this clear focus we have on understanding that your work really relies upon getting access to dollars. And so we think that having this kind of capacity at regional scales is essential to accessing the dollars and getting the projects done. Okay, so that was a long one, and hopefully if you are interested in just being part of the listserv for REACH in your region, so that we can let you know when we've got either an in-person or virtual event, or we can let you know what materials are available for you and opportunities as we come across them, please sign up for that listserv. And we're scoping out opportunities for us to pursue this pilot process. So if you come across something you think would be useful, and even if you want to partner, let us know. Okay, any questions?
I know that some of you
about
already did request to add to your REACH listserv, so thank you to those of you who already did that during this meeting.
I'm going to leave a few minutes here for if anybody has any questions on any of those things we just talked about. I know that REACH is it takes a minute to kind of absorb. Um, oh, I see one here. Which reach is for Central Valley? Okay, so let's go into
So we
the
already
reach.
answered those questions in the chat, Angie. Sorry, I just didn't
Oh, thank you. Okay.
reply for it. So
Yes,
these
yes.
are the reach regions are based on the fifth climate assessment. So that's where those lines are drawn. So it could be either Sacramento or San Joaquin Valley. There's also a question about Orange County, which is in the LA region from the climate assessment.
Okay. Well, we're happy to see some interest here, and we'll be excited. You will definitely get word when we come back to your region or to your region for the first time if you join that listserv. And then you join these big meetings that have been actually quite fun, and help us get the understanding we're looking for that helps us launch these landscape analyses. So here's a question. The ranking of the 6 priority areas what was the implication of ranking them? Determine how much we review and discuss in 2026. Great question. Yeah, there's a lot of uses of that information, but that's certainly one of them. It helps us because we're going to be writing a report to sum up everything we've sort of learned in SLEEK, and that actually is going to have some legs, we think. So we've already presented like that concept to all the council members of the Strategic Growth Council. I'm planning to present it to other agencies once it's complete. And we also have Civic Well has an event coming up called Policy Bridge, which helps us to really amplify those barriers and potential solutions up to a more policymaker conversation. So assuming that, our agencies are wonderful, but they can't always do everything. They don't always have the authority they need. And some things may need a policy fix. So that's kind of the direction of where some of the, like when we refine these priorities, that's where it will go. It also is a tool for any of you to use on the ground. If you want to make a better case, like, hey, look, around the state, this is a big issue. Interconnection and data sets for vulnerability and all these things that we hear, funding. But specific. So you could take it and you can make the case to say, hey, or next time the state comes and asks your opinion about this, or that, and sometimes it can get repetitive. We can say, look, we already written all of this up for you. Like, let's start the conversation here, and then let's focus on addressing it. But you're right here in that it will drive the focus of the SLEEK meetings this year once we have a better idea of what those key barriers are and how they're ranking. All right. Well, thank you all for taking the time to listen to all of that. I hope you learned a little bit more about what we do at SEEK and how hard we are working to try to get it right for you. You can also contact us anytime if you have other ideas like, hey, I need this thing. Do you guys have it or can you build it? And we'll see what we can do. Okay. So with that, I think let's go to our last slide of the official hour. So our next meeting will be December 9th. I already have some ideas there and potential speakers. I think what we might do there is actually this kind of a experiment about learning from approaches to place-based energy and climate work from other states. So kind of like looking outside of ourselves here in California, which we don't always do, about how what other approaches to getting these projects done are working well. We invite you to come back, share this with others, and we really appreciate you all spending the time with us over and over again. And if you would like to hang around and we're about to hit the top of the hour. We'll spend a few minutes afterwards in our bonus breakout. Okay. Thank you, Carba. Thanks, everybody. Y'all are sweet. We love serving you. Okay. Well, let's go ahead, hang around if you can to the bonus breakout, and we'll go to the next slide. That gives us a few minutes of free airtime to talk a little bit about this more informal space. Can we go to the next slide, guys? So it gives us, we can have up to 15 minutes if we need it. This could be your opportunity to raise up an issue like Daniel did. He was asking, hey, I need to find where all the climate action plans are in the state. Maybe the hive mind can help answer it. Or you might have an announcement of something that you're working on or a success story. Maybe you need a collaborator, you need some information, or you might suggest a topic for a future Learn. Or whatever is really on your mind. Maybe you have some more thoughts on everything we just shared with you. So I'll leave some open space here. Just unmute yourself or raise your hand, or you can throw something in the chat.